Before this court passes judgment, will the four defendants please rise and approach the bench?
Trust me, guys, it's all under control. The judge is my uncle. He'll take the insanity plea. Oh yeah, don't forget my retainer balance.
Okay, I understand you guys are pleading insanity, claiming demonic spirits possess you to do these hideous murders. Can you please explain to this court how these so-called...
Hello, everybody. Welcome. You found yourself to the Fallen Angels. You guys are my fallen angels, and it's wonderful that you found your way over to my channel. I do got a Patreon made, but it's still in review. So once it's approved, I'll start leaving the Patreon link on the bottom below all my videos. And I would really appreciate any supporters, even the littlest bit. But you get a lot of stuff. You get I give t-shirts, sweaters, you get a lot of stuff. And personal stuff. You get to talk, videos, all that, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to hear all that. You want to see the video. And you've been warned already. This video is a bad video. It's about evil stuff. So anybody who's under 18 really shouldn't watch this. All right? Thank you.
The summer of 1984, California is stricken with fear. The neighbors, family, and friends have been disappearing, and police have no leads. In the California mountains, the police find a horrific killing field. Victims were found bound, gagged, buried alive, and tortured, the most horrible way for you to end your life. Whoever did this is the most perverted and twisted person to have ever walked the planet. In September 1985, a detective received a call that there was a theft taking place at 1087 Lumber Yard on Railroad to Spruce. She called out to any units in the area. Officer Daniel Wright from South San Francisco Police Department responded first with the call. The shop owner told Wright that he'd seen an Asian male that bought a $75 table vise. He said when he confronted the thief, he threw the vise into the trunk of a brown Honda Prelude and fled by foot. Officer Wright spotted a gun case in the car. When he opened it, he saw a .21 Riga revolver handgun and an illegal silencer on it. A larger male with a beard came running, showing a receipt saying he paid for the $75 vise and that there's no need for the police. Officer Wright asked for the registration number of the Honda. He asked the bearded man who the car belonged to, and he replied Lonnie Bond. Officer Wright questioned where Lonnie is, and the bearded man says up north. The registration number came back as 838 WQT and belonged to a Buick registered in the name Lonnie Bond. He advised the bearded man that switching plates was a crime. Officer Wright checked his license, and the name on it was Robin S. Stapley, a 26-year-old San Diego resident. Officer Wright became suspicious because the man paid for the device that someone else tried to steal, along with the false license plates, and now with a license that wasn't his, plus a weapon. Officer Wright checked the weapon serial number, and it came back as owned by Robin S. Stapley. Officer Wright informed the bearded man that he was under arrest, and the man asked why he was being arrested. Officer Wright said that the man claimed his name was Stapley, meaning that the gun is registered under his name, so therefore he's under arrest. After handcuffing the man and reading his rights, Officer Wright locked him in the back of the car, then went to the store to get the description of the other man. Officer Wright broadcasted an Asian male, slim-built, 25 years old, wearing glasses, last seen heading away on Spruce and Railroad, wearing a Parker. The Honda Prelude was towed to the pound, and Officer Daniel Wright drove his prisoner to South City Police Station, where he was placed in the interrogation room. Once he took his possessions, he had a travel receipt in the name of Charles Gummer, but once checking his license plate, it was registered Paul Costner, who was reported missing to San Francisco Police Department 9 months earlier. When Officer Wright shared this info with the bearded man, he went pale. The bearded man denied a confession and instead wanted to write a note to his wife. The note that Leonard Lake wrote said, "Dear Lynn, I love you, I forgive you, freedom is better than all else. I'm sorry, Mom, Patty, and all else. I'm sorry for the trouble. Love, Leonard. The bearded man told the officer that his friend's name is Charlie Cheetah Ng. He told Officer Wright that his real name is Leonard Lake and that he was a fugitive wanted by the FBI. He then placed cyanide pills in his mouth and he started convulsing. Wright called 911, and when they got him, he was barely alive. Leonard Lake knew that his family would be ashamed, so he killed himself. The San Francisco Police Department realized he was wanted for more than just a simple case of stealing. Plus, there was blood stains from the passenger seat of the Honda, a bullet hole above the sun visor, and 2 shell casings under the seat. Paul Costner, a 39-year-old, the real owner of the Honda, disappeared on the 2nd of November, 1984, after telling his girlfriend he's going to meet a strange man to show him the car. He was never seen again. The police discovered several banking cards and other documents belonging to Robin Scott Stapley in the glove compartment. Police found that Robin S. Stapley was one of the founding members of the Guardian Angels, which is an organization to protect private citizens from criminal attacks to generally aid the cops. He had been missing since the previous year. Another bank card, Randy Jacobson, was also on the property, also Pacific Gas bills in the name of Charlene Balaz. The address on the bill led the cops to Wilseyville, California, 150 miles at the foot of the Sierra Mountains. After more police checks, and they later found that Balaz was Lake's ex-wife and was living in San Bruno. Now that Lake was dead, the answers they needed was from Charles Ng. On Monday, June 3rd, 1985, 2 detectives from San Francisco Missing Persons, Iceman and Irene, went to interview Charlene Balaz. They asked her about the Seville address. She said it was a cabin that her father owned near San Andreas by the mountains. They asked her for directions, and she said it was in a remote location. It was hidden on purpose in a location that was remote. Detectives arranged Balaz to take them to the cabin with the sheriff's authorization to conduct a search. Once they got there and got the clearance to go to the cabin, they found out that Balaz had been to the cabin prior to meeting them, even though the cops advised her that if she went there and moved any evidence that she would be guilty of obstructing justice. Balaz said that she had been looking for a video that had been taken of her naked and only wanted to save it from embarrassment. Balaz led them up to Blue Mountain Road, and after 2 turns, they drove past a cylinder block structure and arrived at a cabin right away. The detectives looked at the cylinder block structure, which was separate of the cabin, 100 feet away from the main road. The structure was built into the earth and is faced to the mountains. It raised suspicion straight away. Balaz had to unlock the cabin, and she didn't want to. She said it was private and that the cops needed a warrant. So the detectives, Brun and 2 others, did a search of the interior while Iceman and the other sheriffs looked around. The cabin had 2 bedrooms, kitchen, and bathroom. First thing they noticed was a spray of reddish-colored stains on the living room ceiling. There was a mural of a forest scene in the middle of the living room with a bullet hole entering the kitchen. Brun found a bullet in the floor, and in the master bedroom had a 4-poster bed with electrical cords tied to each post, plus eye bolts, and 250-watt flood lamp had been fastened above the wall. Next was a dressing table with a lingerie that had dark stains. Brun lifted up the mattress and found a second mattress that was heavily stained. There was also recording equipment that had serial numbers erased. Detectives found all the equipment belonging to Harvey Dubs. Harvey Dubs was a San Francisco resident with his wife and baby boy. They had all disappeared on July 29, 1984. Last seen by a neighbor who seen them talking to 2 people who had come to the house to ask about the audio equipment that Harvey had advertised. Braun spoke with the district attorney, John Martin, who said there was enough evidence. Aware of some discrepancies that played several parts in the disappearances of several people. Iceman conducted a detailed search of the area, plus the incinerator, the cylinder block structure too. Detectives asked Ballas about Ng, and she said he was an Asian male who was friends with Lake. When asked if she'd seen him recently, she said the previous day he came and asked for a ride to his apartment to pick up a paycheck. Ng had a suitcase with clothes and a handgun with ammo and cash, plus 2 IDs, a Cali driver's license, and a social security card in the name of Mike Komodo. She drove him to UA Terminal Airport, but had no idea where he was going. Ng asked Ballas about her relationship with with Lake, and she got upset and wanted to speak with her lawyer. Police checked the cylinder block structure. A 12-man unit arrived from San Francisco Police Department on Tuesday, June 4th, 1985. The search began. They did a preliminary check around the area, 10 feet in diameter, and they got ordered to do a more extensive search outside the area and brung sniffer dogs. The neighbor's house had been rented to a man and woman and a small baby, but they had fallen behind on their rent, so they sent an assistant to collect the money, but they had gone missing. The house was next to Charles Ng. It belonged to Lonnie Bond and Brenda O'Connor and their baby. A man calling himself Charles Goomer told him that the tenants left 10 days. The man asked why they didn't take anything, and he shrugged. They walked into the cabin and they found it was a 20-foot by 12-foot area with hand tools and power saws on a plywood wall. Many tools had a dry stain of blood plus hair that was stuck on the motor. There was a broken vise, which was the reason why Ng needed a replacement at the lumber yard shop. The room's dimensions didn't add up to the cops. It looked a lot bigger on the outside than the inside. There was a hidden room behind the tool rack, a double bed, and a side table. On the wall, there was a plaque that read Operation Miranda. The name came from a book named The Collector by John Fowles that was found by the bookshelf. The story of the collector. The story is about a collector who kidnaps a woman and keeps her locked in the cellar, and eventually she dies in a secret room. There's also military equipment found, and uniforms, and also soundproof glass that had night vision, plus 21 photos of young girls undressing in the room in pictures. Also found there was a diary written by Leonard Lake that was described with chilling details of how he tortured his victims with Ng. Lake feared getting taken out by the cops and killed, and he built a bunker to protect himself and also wanted sex slaves to repopulate. Another door was discovered in a room behind the bookshelf. The room was 3 feet 3 inches wide and 7.5 feet long with 6-foot ceiling. They found a bed, a chemical toilet, air freshener, and water container. There were also holes in the walls for ventilation. The window was a mirror that could show X-ray vision, and you could hear audio from the furthest room. Police spoke with Gloria Ebeling, Leonard's mother. She told the cops she came because she wanted to find her son, Donald. The cops wanted to catch Charlie Ng and sent out a warrant for his arrest. Ng left to Chicago, and nothing was found since. There was a background check done. Ng came from Hong Kong. His sisters are from Toronto and Calgary. His old Marine friends in Hawaii knew he could be in any location, so they helped the FBI. The FBI contacted the Interpol and Scotland Yard and described Ng worldwide. On the 4th day, police found bones that had been cut by power tools, so they got DNA. Many locations around the area had many more bones. On the 5th day, bodies were found jewelry was found with credit cards, licenses, and wallets, plus tapes of 2 women. On the tapes, there were Lake and Ng acting out their sick fantasies. Also, there was a video of Kathy, who was a victim, getting undressed and acting out sick fantasies for Lake and Ng. Kathy is an 18-year-old victim and that was lured by Lake. And also there was a video of Brenda, who begged for her baby back. Brenda does what she has to do so her child doesn't get killed, but she doesn't know that her child and her husband have been already dead. Remains come up even more for the search of victims. 2 females, a baby, and a male were found, plus more wallets. The bunker got destroyed. There were 7 men, 3 women, 2 babies that have been found. 25 bodies have been discovered in total. Because of how severely their bodies have been discarded, identifying them has been really hard to do. In Hong Kong, December 29th, 1961, Charles Ng could have had a good life, but he decided to ruin his life by killing innocent people. He enlisted in the Marines in 1981 and got the corporal stance, but it didn't work out because he stole military weapons and got arrested and escaped to California, where he had met Lake. Ng eventually got captured after 34 days, and the trial took 6 years. Ng drew pictures of all the torture that he inflicted on his victims. He was found guilty on the murders of 6 men and 2 babies and sentenced to death.